Welcome to Sleeping Scientist, where science drifts into dreams. Tonight, we journey into a question both haunting and beautiful. Why does your brain remain active even after death? This isn't just about neurons flickering like stars in a fading sky. It's about what remains, the final echoes, the soft electric afterglow, the mystery science is only beginning to touch. So close your eyes, slow your breath, and let this story cradle you as we explore the twilight between consciousness and forever. Your breath slows, your pulse fades, but inside your skull, something lingers. The moment of death isn't silence. It's a subtle storm. Electrical waves continue to hum like echoes in a dark cathedral. Is it memory? Is it meaning? Or just the brain's final whisper? You lie still. It's a still that even time seems unsure what to do with you. Your chest no longer rises, your heart no longer drums, and yet, inside your skull, a faint glow remains. Not light, not fire, but something. A flicker. It begins slowly, like ripples after the last stone is thrown into a pond. A wave of neural energy travels across your cortex, soft, dim, and ancient. This is not a moment science fully understands, but it's real, and it's measurable. Even after the heart stops, the brain hums. Electroencephalogram readings have recorded these waves like the last notes of a forgotten symphony. In mice, in humans, in many living things, the brain releases a cascade of electrical patterns in the minutes following what we call death. It's been named a death wave, but it doesn't feel like death. It feels like a memory still trying to bloom. Inside your mind, things are not immediately gone. Thoughts don't vanish like vapor. They echo, they curl, they attempt one last time to make sense of everything. You may not hear your name anymore, but your brain does not give up so easily. It replays the patterns it knew, faces, words, the rhythm of love or fear. Like a library catching fire, the books still whisper as they burn. This is not the brain dying. It is the brain responding to what? Maybe to the loss of oxygen, maybe to the collapse of circulation, but perhaps also to the mystery. It was never built to explain death. You were built to survive. Every cell in your body trained for it. But now the system collapses. Gently, not all at once. The body lets go in layers. The skin cools. The lungs soften. The blood settles. But the brain lingers. Inside, neurons fire in beautiful confusion. They flash, they falter, they fade. But not before they leave behind a trace. These aren't just sparks, they're signatures. Every flicker is like a page from a life unfolding, closing, becoming quiet. Some scientists believe this may be the brain's final effort to stabilize, to rescue memory, to hold on to consciousness. Or maybe it's just reflex, an echo of what it meant to be alive. But to you, in this moment, this flicker feels personal. You are still in there, drifting between the known and the unknowable, floating in the seconds that don't belong to life and don't yet belong to death. And in those seconds, time stretches. Some people who return from the edge describe it like a tunnel, a light, a memory reel. Others remember nothing, just stillness. Both are valid, both are real, because even science agrees. Death is not a single moment, it's a process. And in that process, your brain whispers one final question. A question that may not be heard by anyone but you. The lights are dimming now, but they do not go out instantly. You're still flickering, and flickers can carry secrets. Long after the breath is gone, some lights still glow. Neurons continue to fire, reaching for fading connections. Are these just dying sparks? Or the brain's stubborn hope? In the silence of the body, awareness lingers, delicate and mysterious. Even in silence, some things continue to speak. Inside your brain, the lights do not go out at once. They dim slowly, like a fading constellation in a foggy sky. And as they dim, they reach. Neurons, the fragile threads of your mind, still carry signals from one cell to another. For a few precious minutes, they whisper across synapses like old friends, saying goodbye. This isn't imagination, it's a recorded phenomenon. Tiny flashes of electrical activity dancing along dying circuits. Science calls them post-mortem spikes. but you might call them something else. Echoes, or maybe refusals to vanish. See, the human brain is not just a switch, it's a network, a forest of connections. And when a forest goes dark, some fireflies still linger. The activity doesn't stop at once, it migrates, fades in waves. First the outer regions, vision, hearing, speech, then deeper structures like memory and emotion, and at the very center, the brainstem, that ancient guardian, holds on the longest. It watches until it cannot. Somewhere in those minutes you might still feel, not pain, not fear, but the trace of what it once meant to feel, a sensation without direction, a pulse without need, like wind inside a room with no windows. If your heart stops, your brain cells begin to hunger, starving for oxygen, for glucose. But starvation is not instant. It unfolds in moments, and moments in the brain are whole galaxies. You may not be awake, but parts of you are still listening, still processing, still alive. One study recorded brain activity for 10 minutes after death. In a few rare cases, the patterns resembled those seen during deep sleep or dreaming, which begs a gentle, haunting question. Could your final thoughts be dreams? And if so, what does the brain dream of when the body is no longer needed? Perhaps it dreams of light, or memory, or the warmth of voices long gone. You've carried so much inside you: love, laughter, loss, and the brain, your quiet archivist, never stops keeping records. Even now, it tries, sifting, sorting, remembering. As the lights begin to flicker, it may be randomness, maybe biochemical residue, but what if it's not? What if your brain in its last moments gathers everything it can and holds it close? There's a poetic logic to that. A final act of reverence. It's a neural embrace before letting go. And so the lights refuse to die, not out of denial, but because endings deserve echoes. Inside you, even as silence deepens, there is a soft hum, a quiet persistence. Your breath may have stilled, but your brain does not go easily. It is, after all, the storyteller of your life, and even as the pages run out, it tries to finish the sentence. You gave something to the world that can't be counted, not wealth, not fame, but a gentle push. Toward compassion, toward discovery, toward wonder. Your dreams are not gone, they have simply lost your name, and that's okay, because meaning doesn't need a name, it only needs momentum. Even after everything biological ends, somehow you still travel, not as light, not as mass, but as the motion of ideas, set into orbit by your brief and beautiful presence. In this way, you don't just survive, you multiply. You become thousands of tiny awakenings in minds you'll never know. Through thoughts that never needed your permission to carry your echo forward, you are more than brain. You were the dreams that brain dared to dream. Not even now, in the hush after your last breath, you are still unfolding, in ways no one can measure, but many can feel. So rest, not in silence, but in motion. The soft, slow momentum of a dream that outlived you. And if the mind continues in echoes, what of the universe that holds all our beginnings and ends? Maybe your story wasn't only human. Maybe it was cosmic all along. Not all of you is made of cells. Some of you is dream, unseen, unspoken, unfinished. Ideas you carried, hopes you never voiced, stories only your mind told. What happens to those after death? Maybe they ripple forward even without you. Long after your heartbeat fades, something quieter remains. Not your body, not your voice, but the shape of your dreams, the ones you never shared, the ones you whispered only to yourself. These inner worlds didn't need sound to exist. They were made a possibility of imagination, those soft private questions that kept you company in the middle of the night. What happens to those? Science may track your brainwaves. It may map the final signals and fading sparks, but there is no machine that can measure a wish, no scan that captures wonder. Yet wonder leaves traces. You walk through life, you shape the people near you. The way you loved, the way you noticed small things, the way you listened. These weren't just actions, they were seeds. Seeds of dreams passed from your inner world to someone else's. You may have dreamt of writing a book and never did, but your child writes stories now, or A friend recalls how you described the sky, and they look up differently because of it. Is that not a continuation? The dreams you carried didn't vanish. They unfolded through the people who loved you or through the world you gently touched. Even your fears, your what-ifs, your quiet thoughts about meaning and mystery. They shaped your choices. Those choices shaped others, like ripples in water. A single unseen thought can reach distant shores. You might think a thought dies with its thinker. Sometimes it lingers in the rhythm of a lullaby sung years later, or in a question asked by a child who never met you, but inherited your curiosity. Your dreams were not fragile. They were bridges. Even now, they cross the gap between what was and what might still be. Memory, too, is a kind of energy. And people remember you not in perfect pictures, but in sparks. A voice, a laugh, the shape of your absence in a familiar room. That, too, is motion. That, too, is survival. You may not know where your energy travels, but know this, it is never still. Some part of you touches rain, glows in starlight, rustles the leaves of a tree you never saw bloom. And when a child looks up and feels small and also infinite, you may be part of that feeling. You are not erased, you're reframed. From a name to a pattern, from a face to a field, from a moment to a movement. Somewhere your energy is still finding places. Places that will never know your name, but will carry your story anyway, because life isn't a single flame. It's a wildfire of sparks leaping between things. And you, once a spark, are now part of a constellation of moments that cannot be undone. But where do thoughts go? The ones never spoken, the ones that shaped you most. After your final breath, your energy doesn't vanish. It changes form. Atoms once part of you drift into soil, wind, and memory. Your warmth becomes a sunrise for something else. And without knowing it, you continue. In petals, in voices, in starlight. You've left the body now, but the story isn't over. Because you were never just flesh. You were warmth, motion, rhythm. And all of that still has somewhere to go. When your heart goes still, your cells don't all die at once. They take time. And in that time, they pass along their energy. In whispers, in flickers, in final exchanges, molecules rearrange, heat escapes. Tiny electrical storms fade gently across your cortex. But none of this is waste. The energy that sparked your thoughts now warms the air around you, lifts. It moves. It joins the atmosphere you once breathed, your atoms. Those carbon threads and oxygen bonds, they do not stop existing. They return to the world piece by piece. One atom from your fingertip might be drawn into a raindrop that sinks into the earth, nourishing a root. That root becomes a leaf. That leaf becomes part of a tree that sways over someone else who wonders where you went. You don't haunt the world. You become part of its breath. You're built of stardust. This isn't metaphor, the carbon in your bones. The iron in your blood came from ancient stars that died so you could live, and now you return that gift. Not with sorrow, but with stillness. In physics, nothing disappears. Energy only transforms. Mass only changes shape. What was once a thought in your mind might now be motion in a breeze, or heat in the palm of someone holding a cup of tea. Could it be that the self isn't stored in one place, but emerges from the whole orchestra of your brain and body playing together? And when the instruments fall silent, the final harmony still echoes for a while. You are not here. But some part of you resists being nowhere. It stretches, it slips. It seeps between the cracks in space and thought. It's like steam rising from cooling tea. You are not aware in the way you used to be. But neither are you fully absent. You are a trace, a shimmer, soft wake trailing behind a moving boat. In the ancient Vedic texts, they speak of Atman, the breath within the breath. Not your personality, not your history, but the quiet you that has no beginning and no end. Could yourself be that breath? And perhaps the self is simply a rhythm? A tempo your neurons once danced to. And though the song is over, the rhythm still pulses through the people who knew you. Through the atoms that once held your thoughts. Because energy doesn't vanish, it changes form. The warmth in your skin will become warmth in the air. The carbon in your breath will be held in a leaf. And maybe, just maybe, the echo of your you-ness will ripple out in ways science can't measure, but poetry can feel. Even now, after silence, after stillness, you are not erased. You are rewritten. Into soil, into memory, into possibility. Yourself has not disappeared. It has diffused. And as it drifts, you become part of something wider, not lost, but spread like light across the sky. If your body stops and your brain fades, what happens to yourself? Not your name or your memories, but that quiet awareness beneath it all. Some say it dissolves. Others say it escapes. But what if it simply shifts? It's not gone, just somewhere you haven't followed. You lie still, not breathing, not thinking, not needing, but something lingers. Not your memories, not your heartbeat, something softer, quieter, like a feeling you forgot you had. We often speak of the self as a single shape. I am this. I am not that. But yourself has always been more like smoke, shifting, curling, hard to hold. Now, in this moment, after the moment, the self begins to slip. Not violently, not with fear, but gently, like a boat untying from the dock. Your brain is no longer making decisions. It's no longer predicting, analyzing, correcting. Yet there's a strange clarity, a space where awareness used to be, now glowing with absence. What is the self if not a name in a mouth, if not a thought in a mind? Some scientists say the self is constructed a constant looping of the brain narrating the body. When the narration stops, so does the story. But others wonder if the self is something deeper, a pattern, an energy, a resonance that exists even when the storyteller grows silent. In certain near-death experiences, people speak of watching their bodies from above, of floating, of expanding, of knowing, not thinking, but knowing, that they were still themselves. Not the same self, but not a stranger either. Somewhere in the quiet, a single neuron flickers, not to think, but to remember. It holds an image, a scent, a feeling. Here, somewhere in the quiet, a single neuron flickers, not to think, but to remember. It holds an image, a scent, a feeling. A last thread of who you were, gently glowing. See? Our brains, they don't end when we do, not completely. Somewhere deep within, there's a part that keeps going, holding on to things we used to know. Smells, sounds, faces, feelings, thoughts, everything that made us us. And so we ask, can memory outlive the mind that made it? When someone dies, the orchestra of the body goes silent. Even so, one instrument may still hum its final note, long, soft, and trembling. Inside your brain, there is a neuron that does not know you are gone. It does not understand death. It only knows its role, to remember, and so it does. It holds the scent of your mother's scarf, the weight of a warm mug in your hands, the sound of laughter from a room you no longer enter. It is just one cell among billions, but it pulses, gently, rhythmically, refusing to let go. In neuroscience, this is not fiction. Some neurons persist minutes, sometimes hours after clinical death. They don't reawaken you, but they remain active, firing faint patterns that once shaped your life. Why? Perhaps it is inertia, the natural delay of the body unwinding. Or perhaps it is something deeper, a biological devotion to preserving the shape of memory. This lone neuron does not reconstruct your mind, does not dream or speak or wonder. It simply remembers. It remembers without language, without intention, as a candle remembers the heat that shaped it. Some scientists believe that this persistent memory isn't just a chemical reaction. It's a physical trace left in the brain itself. Imagine your brain as a vast network of roads, a city of connections. Neurons fire, sending signals through these routes, making memories, shaping your understanding of the world. Now, picture this. As you drive a road repeatedly, the wheels of your car carve a deeper groove into the asphalt. This is structural memory. It's literally a shape in the city. In your brain, too, your repeated thoughts and experiences have sculpted pathways, deep grooves in the structure of your brain. These are not memories in the sense of stored pictures or recordings. They are the physical manifestation of your journey through life. When that single neuron continues to pulse after death, It's like driving a familiar road long after you've reached your destination. The path still exists. Your favorite song may still cause a subtle reaction in this neuron. Your name, if spoken aloud, might stir something faint in a brain that can no longer reply. It is fragile, it is fading, but it is not gone. In Tibetan traditions, they speak of a bardo, a transitional space between death and what comes next. Perhaps this neuron lives in that bardo, hovering between silence and dissolution. Now imagine millions of these moments, millions of such tiny embers glowing across minds everywhere, each one carrying a fragment, a story, a moment once held in the vessel of a life. Each ember flickering with the last echoes of laughter, dreams, fears, hopes, all the things that made up a person. What becomes of those embers? Some will vanish. Some will spark briefly, then dim. But a few, just a few, may find their way into something else. A memory passed on in a story, a neural echo triggered in someone else's dream, pattern repeated by another brain trying to remember what love felt like. Because memory isn't just personal, it's communal, it's shared, passed down like fire passed from torch to torch. Sometimes that which is remembered can become memory itself. When you share a story, you're passing on not just words, but traces of emotions, sensations, even neural patterns. That's how cultures maintain their identity. Families keep their histories alive. Stories are a repository of collective memory, holding the essence of generations past. Every time a story is told, it's a reenactment, a relighting of those embers. So while that single neuron cannot save you, it can remind the world that you were here, that something of you resisted the dark. Well, this is not resurrection, it's remembrance. The kind that doesn't scream to be noticed, but hums quietly, waiting for the right heart to recognize it. The embers of memory are tender things. They need tending. Someone has to keep them alive. But if they're cared for, they can burn bright, casting warmth and light onto the world. Maybe the neuron doesn't end your story, but it keeps a small part of it burning until it can be passed on. In labs, researchers have witnessed cells attempting to repair themselves long after death. Not to live, but to hold form. As if clinging to blueprint one moment longer. To hold on to the idea of self. Perhaps it is an attempt to preserve the story still inside. These neurons, they're not just reacting to stimuli. They're responding with purpose, trying to maintain the continuity of life even after the vital spark has faded. It's as if they're trying to complete one last action, to finish the sentence, to hold the image steady, to let your presence dissolve slowly, not with a bang, but with a murmur that might one day be felt in another's tear, or smile, or touch. Each neuron tells a story. Together they form a tapestry, a map of a life lived. Every experience, every emotion, every thought leaves its mark, creating a landscape of memory in the physical structure of your brain. It's both humbling and strange to think that death doesn't erase everything, that something of you remains, encoded in the very fabric of your being, carried by a single cell. A flicker of consciousness in the darkness, whispering tales of the life it once knew. When you listen closely, can you hear it? The gentle pulse of a neuron, reaching out across the silence, trying to bridge the gap between life and what comes next. What does this mean for us? For some, it reinforces the belief in an enduring soul, a self that transcends the physical body. For others, it offers a different perspective on death. Not as an ending, but as a transition. Maybe death isn't a full stop, but a comma in the cosmic story. Maybe our individual stories don't end, but become part of a larger narrative, passed down in neurons and memories. But there's another layer here too. The more we understand about the brain, the more we realize how precious and delicate it is, how easily it can be damaged, how vulnerable it is to disease. As we unlock the secrets of memory, we also uncover the fragility of the mind. And so this knowledge humbles us. It reminds us of the importance of cherishing each moment, of recognizing the sanctity of life. It also compels us to fight harder against those who would do harm, to protect the most vulnerable, and to honor the dead by keeping their memories alive. So yes, that single neuron may not save you, but it does offer a profound lesson in resilience, continuity, and the enduring power of memory. It's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, life finds a way to persist, to adapt, and to carry on. And now we ask you, what do you think? Does this idea of memory outliving death resonate with you? How does it change your perspective on life, death, on the human experience? Share your thoughts with us. And if you enjoyed this exploration, we invite you to dive deeper into the world of extraordinary science. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and above all, stay engaged. Because together, we can unravel the mysteries of the universe and the complexities of the human condition. Until next time, keep asking questions. Embrace the unknown and celebrate the miracle of existence. Thank you for watching. In physics, there's an idea called residual radiation. When a particle decays, it leaves behind not just the products of its breakdown, but faint traces of itself lingering in the spaces between. These remnants carry echoes of the original particle's existence. And today, we are going to talk about what remains when the brain, that most intricate of particles, falls silent. We will consider the quiet legacy that persists even when the mind-esque brilliant blaze dims to a whisper. There are different ways to go quiet. Some fade away from life like mist at dawn, slipping away slowly. For others, the journey into silence is sudden, a sharp intake of breath, a heart that stops mid-beat. Regardless of how it unfolds, the transition brings us face to face with one of humanity's oldest mysteries. What remains when the brain can no longer speak? What becomes of us when the stories we tell ourselves come to a halt? For centuries, cultures around the world have grappled with these questions. Some believe that consciousness was a flame that sputtered out, leaving behind nothing but ashes. Others saw it as a light that flickered faintly, casting shadows in the corners of the universe. In modern times, science offers a different lens through which to view this final journey. Let's start with the tangible, the physicality of becoming quiet. When the brain, that universe unto itself, can no longer fire, when the symphony of neurons falls silent, what happens to the melody they once composed? The first thing to understand is that the brain is not the only instrument playing in the orchestra of our existence. Yes, it is the conductor, orchestrating a vast majority of our actions and experiences. But it does not play alone. Our body too has its instruments. The lungs that breathe in and out, the heart that pumps life's current, the stomach that digests and distributes, all are tuned to a harmony that is felt as well as heard. And when the brain's song ends, these instruments do not fall silent. They keep playing, albeit in a different key. They keep playing under the baton of instinct, of biology, of base survival. The heart keeps beating, the lungs keep drawing in air, even as the brain grows still. So in the immediate aftermath, the silence isn't absolute. It is surrounded by the soft thrum of life, continuing its eternal song. But beyond these biological instruments, there is another layer of our existence that defies easy categorization. It is the intangible essence of who we are, the sum total of our interactions. It's our memories, our emotions, our relationships. All these make up the silent notes, the half-heard melodies that resonate within us. And when the brain's song ends, these notes don't just vanish. They become part of the fabric of those around us. Take, for instance, the conversations we've had, the jokes we've cracked, the tears we've shared. These are not just exchanges of words. They're investments in relationships, in bonds that connect us to others. And while the brain may no longer recall these moments, they remain woven into the tapestry of those we've spoken with. There are echoes of us in the smiles they share, in the stories they tell, in the silences they understand. Similarly, our impact on the world, the ripples we've created through our actions, our kindnesses, our mistakes, also linger. The silence following the ending of our brain's song does not erase these ripples. They remain etched into the landscapes we've inhabited, influencing lives in ways we may never know. So even as the melody of our thoughts fades, the harmony of our existence continues to resonate in the lives we've touched, in the places we've been, and in the hearts we've known. And here's where the idea of residual radiation comes into play. Just as subatomic particles leave behind faint traces of their existence, we too leave behind imprints of our being. Our joys, our sorrows, our dreams, our very memories become part of the unseen radiation that bathes our surroundings. They are the silent witnesses to our lives, the soft murmurings of our experiences. This concept finds resonance in various facets of human existence. Our memories, for instance, are not solitary events locked away in the recesses of the brain. They are threads that connect us to others, anchoring us in shared experiences. When the brain falls silent, these threads don't snap. They become part of the fabric of those we've loved, those we've lost, those we've encountered. Then there are our emotions, the rich, vibrant colors that paint our inner worlds. Even when the canvas of our consciousness is lowered, these emotions find expression in subtle ways. A lingering smile, a tear that falls, a story that gets told. All these are muted echoes of our emotional being, resonating in the hearts and minds around us. Moreover, our relationships, the intricate tapestries of connection we've woven throughout our lives, these also transcend the silence of our physical departure. The love we've shared, the laughter, the tears, the understanding glances, all these become part of the shared narrative of those we've loved and lost. And in their remembrances, in the stories they tell, and the silences they honor, we find a continuation of our essence. Our influence on the world around us, the very essence of our being, does not cease to exist when our brains fall silent. It becomes a thread in the grand tapestry of existence, connecting us to the past, the present, and all the moments yet to come. Now, let's return to our exploration of the silence that follows the ending of the brain's song. The idea that our consciousness might continue in some form after our bodies have fallen silent is a concept that has fascinated philosophers and scientists alike. Some believe that our awareness might merge with a universal consciousness, while others think it could be stored in some cosmic library of experiences. Regardless of the exact nature of this continuation, the very idea offers a compelling perspective on the meaning of existence. Think of the stars scattered across the night sky. Each star is a blazing furnace of hydrogen, a nuclear reactor furiously converting one element into another. And as they do, they send forth a constant stream of radiation, carrying their light and energy out into the vast expanse of space. Even as we stand here contemplating our own mortality, we are bathed in the silent radiance of these distant stars. Their light, emitted millions or even billions of years ago, reaches our eyes, reminding us of the endless cycle of birth, life, and death that unfolds across the cosmos. It is a humbling experience, a silent testament to the grand cosmic drama in which we are all participants. In the same way, the silence that follows the ending of the brain's song does not imply an absolute cessation. It suggests a transformation, a shift in the form and location of our being. Just as the stars send forth their silent radiation, we too radiate our essence in myriad ways. Our impact on the world, the ripples of our existence, the memories we've woven, the emotions we've shared, these are all echoes of our being. They are the faint imprints of our lives that continue to travel, waiting to be traced, understood, or felt by those who come after. The silence after the last word, the silence of a soul departing its earthly vessel, is not an absence of sound, but a change in the music. It's a shift from the cacophony of thoughts and feelings that once filled our internal landscapes to a softer, more resonant hum. It is the acknowledgement that our existence, in its essence, is not confined to the boundaries of our physical forms. It spills over, reaching out to touch countless lives, countless moments, and countless places. Even as the final note fades, the composition of our being continues to reverberate, resonating in the hearts and minds of those who knew us, in the places we frequented, and in the memories we leave behind. It is a silent testament to the enduring power of our existence, a reminder that even in stillness, we continue to matter. Death's echo in the stillness, even as the body grows still. The brain may flicker with one final burst, a radiant echo of thought, of memory, of being. This chapter drifts through the mysterious final activity of the human brain. Our consciousness may whisper one last time before slipping into silence. A heartbeat, then silence. The world is very quiet now, but not completely. Somewhere deep within the folds of your brain, a light trembles. It is not fire, not visible flame, but an electric shimmer, faint, fleeting like the glow of a dream trying to hold on. Moments, maybe seconds. After your last breath, the brain does something strange. It fires, it lights up. Not all of it, not in patterns you'd recognize, but in bursts. Sparks. Scientists call it terminal spreading depolarization. a wave of electrical disarray. Like the final ripple after a stone sinks beneath the surface of a pond, neurons, those delicate messengers, release their last signals, not neatly, not purposefully, but in a flood of light. Some believe these flashes may be what people describe in near-death experiences, visions of tunnels, of faces, of long-lost memories stitched together like a soft, flickering film reel. It's possible, because even now, your mind still holds fragments of stories, of scent and sound, of warmth, of laughter once shared, echoing softly in the synapses. This is not consciousness, not as you know it, but it may be the residue of it, a brain trying for just one more moment to make sense of the great letting go. Imagine a house after the electricity goes out. The lights don't all blink off at once. Some flicker, some surge. A lamp might buzz before falling dark. That is your mind now, not empty, but unraveling. If you could feel this, it might not be fear. It might be memory. A mother's voice. The feel of sun-warmed sheets. The soft rhythm of a lullaby once sung under a summer moon. The brain, after all, is a storyteller. And even in death, stories want to be told. They rise like mist, like the scent of old paper, like the echo of a song you thought you'd forgotten. Maybe this is the last kindness of the mind to offer you not silence, but poetry. Because somewhere between your final breath and the final wave of activity, you may find yourself standing in a memory, not to relive it, but to release it. Some researchers have recorded this surge, a burst of synchronized brainwaves, like gamma oscillations. The same rhythms seen in deep meditation, in dreaming, in moments of insight. It's as if the mind, in its parting, lights a small lantern, not for others, but for itself, to say goodbye, to remember, to drift. What you see in that light, if anything, is unknown. No one returns from true death to tell us what that final flicker holds. But in the lab, on the machines, we see the pattern. And we wonder, could the last thing you feel be peace, letting go wrapped in light? It would be fitting. Because from the beginning, your brain has been an artist. It painted your world with color, with language, with meaning. And now, in these final strokes, it may leave behind one last masterpiece. Invisible, unrecorded, but real. A quiet burst, a farewell. Not a scream, not silence, but a shimmer. And then, the light folds inward. The neurons settle. The mind lets go. But the question remains. If a brain whispers one last story as it dies, is it for you, or is it for the universe? This is the host. Thank you for watching this episode, which was brought to you by CuriosityStream. Thank you for watching this episode. If you like this video, you can learn more about the science of life and death through additional resources online. Your breath has stopped, but energy doesn't die. It transforms, slipping through the seams of your cells, joining the quiet rivers of heat, particles, and potential. The same energy that once sparked your thoughts now begins a new journey. Nothing is wasted, not even the warmth of your final goodbye. You no longer move. You no longer think in the way you once did, but something deeper, quieter, still flows. Inside every cell, a spark once lived, electrical pulses, chemical whispers, a delicate dance that sustained your heartbeat, your memories, your dreams. Now that dance begins to slow, but it does not end. Because energy, the force that hummed through your neurons, lit your vision, and gave breath to your voice, cannot disappear. It only changes. Even now, as your body lies still, the warmth you once carried begins to drift outward, into the air, into the ground, into the quiet places beyond your skin. This is not death as silence. It is death as diffusion. Your heat moves first. A soft warmth rises from your chest, like steam from a quiet lake. It brushes past your clothes, your bones, and becomes part of the air around you. That warmth might feed the breeze, might lift into the sky, might help a seed push through soil nearby. Atoms in your brain, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, begin their slow release. Not a collapse, but a letting go. They scatter, not in panic, but in purpose. Because matter doesn't mourn. It moves. Every bit of you, from the calcium in your bones to the iron in your blood, was borrowed from the earth. And now, The earth calls it home again. You are not lost. You are given back, given to the tree that grows roots beneath you, to the microbes that whisper in the soil, to the rain that might one day fall through the leaves above your resting place. You were energy in motion, and now you are still energy, just moving in a new way. Think of the photons once captured by your eyes, the electricity that flashed as thoughts, muscle tension that became movement. None of it vanished. It echoes now in the warmth that slips into the breeze, in the molecules that drift across a field, in the quiet return of all that was borrowed. Even the brain, that wondrous, delicate engine, unwinds with grace. Its final pulses ripple into the surrounding cells. Glucose slows its journey, neurotransmitters fall still, but the materials remain. They will become other things: nutrients, minerals, soil. The ingredients of new stories, new lives. You are not gone. You are becoming. In physics, this is a law. Energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. And in that transformation, you find a strange kind of peace. Your thoughts, once like fireflies blinking across the mind, now rest as soft heat, ready to rise, ready to feed something else. Perhaps a flower, perhaps a bird, perhaps simply the soil itself, but never nothing. There is no such thing as nothing in nature, only change, only movement, only the slow and sacred passing of energy from one shape to another. You don't disappear, you dissolve into everything, the warmth in a patch of sun, the scent of rain in the grass, the shimmer of dew at morning's edge. You are no longer you as you knew it, but you are still part of this great breathing world. And somewhere in the balance of things, your energy keeps time with the stars, a quiet pulse, a remembered hum, a gift unwrapped and passed on. We hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please remember to leave us a like and subscribe for more content. Your support helps us continue sharing these stories. Thank you. Now, if you're ready for another thought-provoking journey, we invite you to watch this video, which explores how our choices shape our reality. Just click on the video and let your curiosity guide you. We look forward to seeing you there. Who are you when your voice no longer speaks? When memory unravels, does identity fade or scatter like seeds? In the quiet folds of the brain, the story of you still echoes. Neurons try to hold on to meaning, even as the self begins to dissolve. Your body rests, still and quiet, but your mind, or what remains of it, drifts through a soft, unwinding haze. This is not forgetting. This is unweaving. The sense of I, the thread that once tied together your memories, your thoughts, your dreams, begins to loosen. Not all at once, but gently, like a rope slipping through fingers. Identity has always lived in many rooms of the brain. Your memories tucked into the hippocampus, your emotions pulsing through the amygdala. Your sense of place, of face, of time, mapped across regions that still flicker even now. In these final signals, something extraordinary lingers. Not just images or names, but the feeling of being you. And feelings, unlike facts, do not vanish easily. There's a spark of recognition in every memory, not just of events, but of how they mattered. The moment you laughed with someone, the color of your childhood bedroom, the weight of a loss, the scent of rain on your first day of school. These are not just stored, they're encoded, layered into the folds of your neural map. And as the map begins to blur, the feelings float upward, light as ash.